just about 2 weeks after the scary injury Tua Tagovailoa suffered in that Thursday night football game against the Bengals, where he had to be stretchered off. He was taken to a trauma center, and he was found to be okay enough to fly with the team on the team plane. The NFLPA has agreed to amend concussion protocols to enhance player safety. The NFL, in turn, has responded by saying they agree to some of these changes, and they want to work towards enhancing player safety as well. So they seem to be on the same page here. But I think I think we need to talk about why this happened, what some of these changes might look like, and more precisely, how safe you can make the game of football, because it's never going to be just, it's never going to be rainbows and roses, right? This is not going to be a game where everyone's going to be fine and players aren't going to get hurt and players aren't going to feel it the next morning. It's always going to be that as long as it's actual football. Whether or not you can make some of the long-term cognitive impacts of the game better, I think there's definitely room for that. But at the end of the day, players are still going to get hurt. You can never take pain. You can never take injury. You can never take all those things out of the game. And that's not me saying that, you can't take them out of the game. That's not me saying that. That's not me being, one of those people out there. Like, back in my day, we didn't even wear helmets on the field. We used to smoke cigarettes on the field. No. What I'm saying is, at the end of the day, football is a contact combat game. People are literally throwing their bodies at each other. Right? At a certain point, injuries are going to happen. And it's just a part of the game. And the game is so big, watched by so many people, loved by so many people, that it's almost, including myself, it's almost become an accepted kind of taboo. Right, or an accepted vice is probably a better word to use in this scenario. It's a bit of an accepted vice because we know that a lot of the impacts of the game are bad, but we still watch it every Sunday, once on Monday, once on Thursday, sometimes on Saturday, and we still love it. But we also are aware of these problems that the game does have, and we're aware that, it's not always good. Not always good for the players. Sometimes not always good for the fans. And this change in protocol is good because what happened to Tua Tagovailoa at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing. But what happened to Tua Tagovailoa should never happen to any other player again. Because you saw when he went down on a Sunday, Tua Tagovailoa gets hit. His head very obviously whiplashes off the playing surface. And he's wobbly. It's almost like he can't get up. They said it was a back injury, but anyone who saw that, anyone who's had a concussion before, you could probably tell that the way he went down, didn't look like anyone I know who has a back injury. You have a back injury, you're gonna be doing this. You're gonna be doing a lot of holding that back, right? Yet, Tua, given all that, he passed their concussion protocol, and he was able to play the next week. 3 days later. He was able to play 3 days later in primetime football against the Bengals. And what happens? Middle of the second quarter, Tua drops back to pass. He gets brought down on a sack. His head whiplashes off of the logo at the 50-yard line. I've never seen someone's head in football whiplash off of the ground. And immediately he goes into a fencing position. By the way, for those of you who don't know what a fencing position is, it's a response that the body has to great head trauma. Your fingers stiffen up. Your arms kind of go stiff and stick out like this. That's why he was doing this. It wasn't him. A lot of people out there making a lot of memes of Tua doing gang signs or whatever on the board. That's not what that was, bro. He was out. Now, anytime a player has their hands in a fencing position, their fingers are curled up, their hands are stiff, they're out. And he was stretchered off, taken to a trauma center. somehow able to fly back on the plane on the team plane, I should say, home. It's paramount that if the NFL wants to talk about how it's all for player safety, right? Regardless of them adding another game, another regular season game without having another bye week, and they want to talk about getting serious about player safety, the bare minimum they can do is when a dude gets rocked in the head and is obviously not okay, don't let him back into the game. And I know that the NFL wants to tout and the Miami Dolphins want to tout that, oh, well, we fired the team doctor who broke the protocol, blah, 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 blah. Don't make the doctor the scapegoat in all of this, right? Because there's a reason that the NFLPA had to update the protocol or had to call to update the protocol. Because it was bad enough that Tua Tagovailoa was able to go back into the game. It was bad enough that we've had players talk about how, yeah, they've known they've had concussions in the middle of games before, but they just kept on playing. And players have actually ridiculed the NFL's concussion protocol before. So, again, I'm all for getting serious about player safety, and we should be getting serious about player safety. If a player has a concussion, they should not be allowed to go back into the game. And I'd argue they probably shouldn't be allowed to play football the next week. Because when you see people like pro wrestlers who their job, and I know people want to ridicule pro wrestling, whatever. Pro wrestlers, their literal job is to throw themselves at the ground for a living. And whenever a pro wrestler gets a concussion, they're not out for just the 1 week. They're usually out for multiple weeks, sometimes even months, to allow their heads to recover. In football, we let them out like, the next week, he's fine. Look at him. He's such a manly man. It's a joke. When the NFL says they want to get serious about player safety, it's a joke. The NFLPA, they might be a little more serious, but at the end of the day, they don't want nobody wants key players to go out because it hurts everyone's bottom line. And that's not a conspiracy theory. It's not me trying to say that the NFL masterminded this so Tua Tagovailoa could play on a Thursday night football game and blah, blah, blah. No, it's not what I'm saying. But for us to claim that there's no incentive for the NFL and the owners and everyone else to have players play more often, even if it means they can suffer further head trauma, it's laughable. It's a business. It's a business at the end of the day. They don't really care about the people as much as they care about the money. Tell me when I'm telling lies, right? It's one of those things. Tell me when I am telling lies. Hey everyone, we hope you liked this video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Until next time, keep it real.